Welcome to The Prize Inside. The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeromy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeromy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to the 1% Tribe, the Prize Inside. Welcome. Tonight we're going to be talking about some foot problems. So this is kind of one of those where I'm going to go through a few things. We've actually had a foot pain talk a while ago, and because I was in this amazing seminar this weekend, so my wife and I got to go up, and we always need those chiropractic, you get, credit hours and all those kind of things. Well, every time we're like, man, it's a bad time to go, all those things, everything always works out for a reason. It's always fantastic. We go up there and we're like, some of the titles of the things were like, they'd be interesting, but the amount of things that were on just this little seminar were fantastic. So we drove up about 3 hours to Traverse City, did some class time. It was fantastic. And then came sprinting back, and my lawn was so bad. I had to do that. I had to do that pretty quickly. I didn't know, grass could grow that fast. So tonight we're going to be talking about plantar fasciitis, plantar fasciitis. You've all heard all the things, right? Heel pain, foot pain, and some exciting new things that I learned, adding to what we already know just this weekend. So hopefully this will be really, really cool. What was neat also was, hopefully you guys, and make sure if you're a regular watcher, let me know how you like the interviews. So a lot of times that's my passion of being able to do those interviews as well. So just let me know if that is a thing, and if how the structure is going with that. I'm going to do more interviews. I got more chiropractors, experts in different things lined up. Now I just got to get them on the schedule and figure all that stuff out. It's a little more clunky with interviews, but at the same time, it's really, really cool, when it works out. So with that said, hopefully pull up your herbal tea. Tonight mine is hibiscus and raspberry. If you don't remember, we talked about a little hibiscus. You would know that if you were a part of my email list, Tribe1, tribe1.substack.com. Tribe1.substack.com gets you an awesome newsletter. It breaks down how to use hibiscus, other than the tea form, all of those different things. Also, subscribe on YouTube or Rumble. Okay. YouTube, it's The Prize Inside a Chiropractor's Journey. I think I finally got my youngest to subscribe to me. Maybe I'll have to look and see. Then The Prize Inside a Chiropractor's Journey on Rumble. Both of those will have all the videos we do on there. I love the feedback. If you ever miss something, I know sometimes it just depends. I'm gonna make it like 8:30 on Sunday night and Wednesday night, just as consistency goes. So hopefully you will enjoy that. So tonight we're gonna walk through kind of an old presentation, but it'll be new. Of how to really get a hold of foot problems, because there's a lot out there. Now, plantar fasciitis, if you think about it in some terms, it's essentially where the bottom of your foot, like the heel, is the most painful part. And it's really known for not almost hurting not at all when you're off of the foot. But then when you step on that foot, it is like knives going through there, right? And so a lot of times, I see plantar fascia. If I've had it myself, I've experienced this, and that's where I just remember the moment you sleep all night, and then you remember you have to get up and step on that sucker, and it was awful. And so once I understood how to kind of really do this well, we're going to go through some things to make this kind of go in a direction that we can do. Okay. So hopefully you guys are sitting back and enjoy it tonight. But this one's called Foot Pain Gone in Weeks. That's what my hope is for you. And it's what the YouTube title loves, so that everybody gets on there, right? The holistic chiropractic approach most doctors miss. Okay. So we're going to go through holistic side of things. Sometimes there's good things out there. Right now, the biggest issue that we're having is in medical, there's not a lot of great answers. Okay. So there isn't, they do a lot of physical therapy, which is great. It can get you there. Right. And some people will be like, well, physical therapy helped me a ton. Perfect. These are kind of add-ons to that. So there's a lot of cool options, but the problem is once it gets so bad, the process is really tough, because people get, injections in their foot. And if you've ever had somebody get an injection, comment if you ever had a foot injection. I had one lady look at me and say it might be worse than birth, and she had 2 kids that were difficult labor. So she said it was a nightmare. And so with that said, a lot of times what we want to do is give you some good holistic approaches, either get rid of it or, try to do some preventative type stuff as well. So that's what we're going to talk about. All right. So here we go. So what are we going to go over tonight is the key reasons plantar fasciitis and foot pain can occur. Looking at it through then we're also going to look at it through what we do all the time on our 1% tribe, is we look through thoughts, toxins, and traumas. Okay. So we're not just looking at why this is happening, just my foot hurts and those kind of things. We're going to go after it, right? So we're going to go after the 3 things, right? So innate intelligence of our human body. With the innate, it is a self-regulating, perfect organism. We just have to get out of the way, right? And the way we get in the way is through toxins, through trauma, and through thoughts. That's why you have several different approaches that end up helping, the plantar fascia and heel and foot pain. Okay. And then some great things we can do at home to improve that situation. So let's define the plantar fascia. Okay. So, plantar fasciitis is a common foot condition characterized by inflammation or irritation of the plantar fascia. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'll have a picture of it. It's a thick band of tissue that runs along the bottom of your foot, connecting the heel bone to the toes. This is important to remember that the heel bone is connected to the toes. Okay. So it's typically caused sharp stabbing heel pain, especially when during the first steps in the morning or after periods of rest. The condition often results from overuse, strain, or micro tears in the fascia due to activities like running, standing for a long period of time, or wearing unsupported footwear. And we're going to talk about that because this is the medical definition, right? So, other contributing factors can include tight calf muscles, high arches, flat feet, or obesity. While it can be persistent, plantar fasciitis is often manageable with rest, stretching, proper footwear, and at home care. Okay. So, one of the things we're going to have to get into, I want you in the mindset when I give you a medical definition, you have to think, okay, those are all good, and they could be the reason those things are happening. Is there others? Are there other reasons it happens? Okay. And we're going to go through some things that will make a lot of sense as far as how the foot itself is structured and how it works, right? But and why this whole thing happens in the first place. But some of those things are not wrong. They're just not far enough as far as like why things are occurring. Okay. So that's where I want you to attack it. Okay. So this is what the plantar fascia looks like. Okay. It's a very general picture. I would say this isn't the greatest picture because what we're going to talk about is the plantar fascia is not just tendon. This is huge to remember. The plantar fascia, where it has the pain, is tendon. Okay, so tendon is like, so you know how you have a muscle and it attaches to a bone? That would be a tendon. A ligament's like two bones attaching to each other. So kind of think that way, right? So this tendon is it's partly muscle and it kind of morphs into this tendon to attach to the bone. So you have this muscle going into a tendon. A lot of people don't think that people want to know that, but that's the thing. So when you feel your bicep, so you're bringing that bicep up, and if you go to the ends of that bicep, you can actually feel the little tendon. So it's not all muscle, right? You get to the very end and you can actually feel like this tendon, right? And that tendon, it's one of the body's amazing things. It takes muscle tissue, like muscle tissue that contracts like this and morphs essentially into like rope, essentially, right? With fibers and everything else that go into the bone, right? It's really important in understanding what a tendon is to understanding what plantar fascia is, because a lot of people, a lot of times in the plantar fascia world, you'll see what we do, and sometimes it's not the best move. But if we knew it was part of a muscle system, if we think of our plantar fascia as a muscle system, it changes your perspective on what could cause this thing. Okay. All right, here we go. So here is, excuse me, this is one of my favorite shots. If we go in, this is where I want you to focus. Look at how many bones there are just in this side view. Okay. So we have our metatarsals, right? So metatarsals are like where your toes are, right? So you got the big metatarsal. So you have the little tiny one, you right? And then it goes all the way back. Then you have these bones that I like to say it's kind of like building a like a Lego foot. You have all these little bones in here that are linked like little Lego blocks. So think of like the 4-piece, the 4-piece square. If none of you do Legos, that'll be a problem. But 4-piece square kind of fits in there, right? So then you have all these little 4-piece squares, and they're all kind of interconnected with ligaments. So remember, ligaments are, right? Their ligaments are attaching bone to bone, right? In this picture, you can see a nice tendon too. So you can see this tendon that goes up in your calf, right? So from your heel, it starts turning red up at the top of the picture. That would be considered a tendon. It's a muscle like into, an attachment on the bone. Okay. So the biggest problem is you get inflammation right at where that tendinous sheath, this plantar fascia that's right at the bottom, starts having issues. Okay. So you guys kind of know that. But here is the trick. Okay. This one is the reason we must get our brain around this. Many, many people, medical included, we believe that the foot is a ligament problem. Okay. So it's like a bone to bone problem. It gets inflamed. We're in trouble. It's a muscle problem. Okay. So you must think that way. It's a muscle, neurological problem, all of these things. If all of the bones of that foot, and you saw how many there are, right? There's 20 something bones in there. If all of those bones aren't working properly, the muscles of the foot will react to having a foot that doesn't work properly. Okay. So if all the bones in there are not, let's say you sprain your ankle, let's say it's 5 years ago. Okay. So we sprain our ankle pretty significantly, but one of those bones out of the 20 little blocks, the little Lego blocks, twists and it's not sitting properly in the other bones, right? Your foot and the muscles and the mechanics and the genius neurology that's in your foot are going to adapt your movement pattern to get you to walk on that foot, regardless if there's no pain. It's going to adapt you to be able to, move the foot in the walking motion, right? Over time, though, if the muscles and the joints of your feet are not properly in proper mechanics, we got major issues, right? Because one of the things that can happen is that the neurology and the bone isn't firing correctly. I'm sorry, the muscle isn't firing correctly. Once that occurs, then there can be these weird torques and, like one of the things that happens, all of a sudden this ligament problem happens out of blue, right? So if you went back and looked, they said, oh, okay, obesity, walking a long time, right? It doesn't make sense if it was just walking a long time. Chronic walking. Why doesn't your left, if it is your right foot, why the heck does your left foot not hurt as much? It doesn't come exactly at the same time. Like, oh, it just wore down, right? I wonder why that happens. Oh, because the mechanics of one side are showing you that there's some kind of imbalance or some kind of misalignment or malalignment in that area. And we need to address that in many ways. Chiropractic is definitely one of them. And the one that I would say, make sure all those joints are going and have a chiropractor that actually adjusts feet, which I had I thought everybody did. Had a patient come in going, hey, the chiropractor I used to go to said he never did feet. And they told me you do. And I'm going, yeah, that's kind of an obvious. There's some techniques out there in chiropractic, though, that do other things, right? And so a lot of times, maybe the chiropractor should have said, because there's neurological reasons why other chiropractors may not actually adjust the feet. And that's cool too, right? But it's, I had to walk them through that. There's some techniques, those kind of things. But for me, it's always been, I want to feel that foot. I want to understand the joint motion that's happening in there and not just the normal like twisting back and forth, but you have an entire array of different bones to actually move in there. And so that's where I start as key. Now, this is where physical therapy does pretty good. I think ours gets there faster because I'm knowing what I'm doing on adjusting the bone. But a lot of times, feet motion, right? Motion exercises that we'll kind of go into tonight can be really, really helpful as well. So, and then it can get that motion kind of going in the right direction, even though I'm biased. So there's that. Okay. So that's why you have to think in terms of muscle. So think of foot pain, any kind of foot pain, as muscle. It's just not going to randomly happen to you. Okay. There's got to be a reason why it's occurring. Okay. So this one's an interesting one. I wanted to show you this. This one's from my old one, gouty arthritis. So gouty arthritis, this is what it looks like. There's uric acid buildup around the joints of your feet. Now, these little crystals kind of fall to the lowest place, which is your feet. A lot of times some people will have it shoulders. There's a lot of places where what they call uric acid crystals can, get in there. So gouty arthritis is an interesting one we'll talk about tonight as well. But it can be a major thing on foot biomechanics as well, right? We blame it on this, like, oh my God. Well, it's one of the biggest toxins, right? So if you eat a crap ton of processed foods, you know how I am with fake sugar. So fake sugar could do it. Biggest one on gout though is like fake meat, right? Really ultra processed meats that they try to do. So a lot of times you can get these gouty crystals. Very common. Almost, I think, in my belief, I think everybody has gouty crystals. It just depends on, if yours gets out of crazy or not. And sometimes I think this is just holistically, there's a reason my beer drinkers get it, my alcoholics get it quite a bit. And one of the reasons I think there's a stress on the liver that we're not understanding, and it creates these gouty crystals, these uric acid crystals. Would make sense that your body would get rid of them, but instead it doesn't because the number one gouty arthritis person is beer, hot dog it used to be at a baseball game, right? That would be the number one way gout would attack. Now I see it in many other ways, so one of the things, speaking of that, there is no I don't know if there's actual scientific data on this or not, but if Ann Buffinga, who is some of you remember, I've talked about her before she passed. She was 95-year-old chiropractor, still seeing people. And one of the things that she did for me is I was adjusting her when I started having this foot pain. And it was the neatest thing. So I'll tell you guys the story. I won't belabor it. So Anne was 93 and I got to see her, I think when she was 89 to like 93, 94. Well, what we figured out was she had all this stuff at her house, like the chiropractic table. She had an office. She had an office within her house. And so she'd see like 3 or 4 people a week. And it was really chill. So I was the lucky one that she chose to come work on her. I absolutely adored working on her, just her knowledge and, those kind of things. So we, you can't have somebody that's, been doing your profession since the 60s to the 50s. You can't tell me you're not going to spend an hour and a half, 2 hours with this lady. So we do it every Tuesday. I'd go over there at my lunch and we just hang out and I'd adjust her and she'd get mad at me because I'm, 200 and something pounds. So she'd get mad at me because she's like, this is not unfair. You're not like, hello, Casey. You're not letting me work on you. And I was like, well, Anne, I'm 250 pounds. I just worked on you, so I don't really appreciate that I would knock my adjustment out because you had to work on me. So one day she made me come on a Saturday. So I go, all right, I'll come on a Saturday. And when you're feeling good, we'll do this. So she goes through all her stuff, really fascinating techniques, all those kind of things. But at the time, I don't have a lot of things. So I was like, and what would you do for heel pain? She's like, you have heel pain? I go, yeah, I've had this plantar fascia. It's like, I'm almost there, Actually, I'm glad Casey's on. I hope he stays on because my whole foot injury started with a race with him and my foot cracked. So anyway, so Anne's like, okay. So she does her testing and she goes, hey, so you're better, right? I go, yeah, my heel is better, but it's still like lingering. Like the pain just keeps it just like plantar fascia typically does. That's what you're taught. And she goes, oh, you have gouty crystals. That's why. You're not gouty, but you got gouty crystals. Take black cherry concentrate, 1 spoonful in the morning. That was about probably 15 years ago. To this day, I still have black cherry concentrate for anybody suffering with gout at the office. I make sure it's like $10, but I have that on standby because it worked so effectively. I don't know why. I don't know why holistically. I've been, it does something to the uric acid, as we go, but something to think about, right? And so that's where black cherry concentrate could be a good thing if you know somebody suffering with gout. So, man, sorry, I'm trying to flow better, but that's how it goes. When you've been at a conference all weekend, I usually am much, much more prepared. So I apologize. So, what are some possible causes of foot pain and plantar fasciitis? So let's go through them. Trauma, right? What we talked about before, foot mechanics. So we have to focus on that. Weak feet is ding, ding, like as we talked today. Poor shoes, that's very true. Big time right now because we don't have a lot of great shoes. Poor shoes, overuse, which is true. So you have overuse in crappy shoes is a real big problem. Obesity, I'll talk to you about that, but yeah, I guess it could be one of the things. Lower back subluxations is the other one. So if I can have sciatic nerve that runs to your leg, your back goes out and all of a sudden your leg hurts. Okay. How on earth do you not think that your heel could hurt from that same exact situation? In fact, a lot of times that's one of the bigger things. See, as you walk through this, most of our medical sick care model will stare right at this heel pain and just keep poking and prodding at it when we didn't look at how are you walking? How's the mechanics of your foot? How's the mechanics of your knee? Are they all aligning correctly? And then for the kicker, how is your spine working? The nerves that go down to the actual foot, we should probably know if that's a good thing, if that is in the proper form as everything else, right? And so that's one of the biggest things that I find is why chiropractic is so good at foot pain, knee pain. Plantar fasciitis is one of them, is because we go after a lot more things than just the heel of the foot. And that's what I want you to kind of focus on. And like the shoes, the poor shoes. And then we work, we do 20,000 steps a day. That can be a major problem. Okay. Toxins. Okay. So let's talk about the toxins. There's diabetic problems. There's peripheral artery disease, which is a thing, right? Gout, venous insufficiency, hypothyroidism, psoriasis. So those are all different systems of toxicities. Okay. So when I look at diabetes, I say toxicity. There's something going wrong in a system. It's not a condition, right? So that's how I look at it. Now you can, you don't have to agree with that, but that's a good one. Peripheral artery disease, same thing. What are we looking at what is the major cause of that peripheral artery disease? Gout, same thing. We went over. Venous insufficiency, big one as well. Why is that happening? Hypothyroidism and psoriasis. Those are all things that can cause foot injuries. Okay. And then the last thing we're going to go over tonight, thoughts and then we're going to talk about that. Are you walking in life in the right direction? Because that thought could actually cause you some foot pain. Shockingly true. Okay. So let's talk about this. I think, let me look through my slides real quick. Okay. Yeah. So let's do, let me run through these slides real quick, and then we'll end it kind of in the exercises I want you to do. Okay. So we'll kind of go on this other thing. So let's find out why your trauma is occurring. Okay. So, oh, 2 and 3. Yes. Yes. You're with Jess. I know. 2 of the 3, just to say, 2 of the 3 categories apply here. Feet hurt daily. And we are going to go through this exactly as my hopes are we get those little tiny things, right? And then once we start understanding them, it will be even more and more, right? So, okay. So, the first thing I want to see. So, let's find out if trauma is the issue. So, if trauma is the issue, have your loved one or whoever your partner, whatever, right? Have them video you walking barefoot. Okay. Have them video you walking barefoot with a focus on your feet. Okay. So the back side of you, have them walk behind you and actually take a picture of you walking. Okay. They'll probably do a flat surfaces at first, but you want to do a trail, whatever, or in your house, down your hallway, all of those things work. That's where you want to start. After that, these are all things you can do yourself. So then you would take that video and then you would bring it into me, right? Or a chiropractor. And we're going to look at that and we're going to break it down and go, see this, this, and this. And you'll see it pretty clearly after that occurs. Okay. So a lot of people miss this step and don't do it, or they don't take the time to do it until they get off their feet and then have to get up in the morning. It's awful. Okay. So look at your shoes and make sure that they're, a good type of shoe. Do you put your foot in and by the end of the day, do they start to hurt? If your feet, sometimes shoes not intentionally, but we fancy our shoes quite a bit. And we're going to talk about that. Look at your history. Did you ever have a foot or ankle problem? Right. And then what I want you all to focus on forever, how strong are your actual feet? How strong are your actual feet? And that's what I want to go over tonight. And that will be the canary in the coal mine. Okay. That's how strong your feet actually are in the trauma category. Okay. So now let's look at the toxin side. So let's look at how are your sugar numbers, right? Is your diet high in what they call purine foods that cause a lot of your uric acid, those kind of things? Okay. So hot dogs, beer, a lot of like processed, really heavy processed meats, even though they're delicious, bacon, processed ribs, all the good stuff, right? So a lot of your high purine foods, if you're in the gout aspect, then you can have that kind of situation. Genetics, is there a family history of any of those? So diabetes, hypothyroidism, any of those. Look at your kidney function, right? A lot of times these are things that we miss, like when we're looking at feet injuries. But you got to remember one thing: in holistic, your feet are telling you something. Your feet are telling you something. If the normal PT, physical therapy stuff doesn't work as efficiently as you are, that's when we start looking at all the things, right? We start looking at toxicities, start looking at your blood work. If I have psoriasis, rheumatoid, what was all the different ones? Hang on. Now I can't remember. Okay. Here we go. So here's all the things that are a possibility. Sugar's messed up. You have a peripheral artery situation. Usually you're a smoker or some kind of nicotinic situation. Gout, we talked about. Venous insufficiency, we don't move very much. We sit on our butt too much. Hypothyroidism, so we could literally have hormone, and this is what this is kind of a big thing in the world right now. Somebody talked to every menopause person that I've talked to in the last few weeks that we got to talk about this real quick. So I don't know what happened, but it like in the last probably 2 weeks, I think everybody and their mother is blaming every joint issue they're having on premenopause or perimenopause or post all the menopauses. It's wild to watch. They're like, oh, frozen shoulder, it must be a menopause thing. Oh, my foot hurts, it must be a menopause thing. What in the world? We're supposed to feel good through these things. That's why I love the register herbal thing. Because as I was learning that, one of the things that was so amazing was the herbal, things and supports and all those things as you walk through the life's journey of menopause. But there had to be some kind of like major TikTok quadrillion views because it was crazy. Everybody and their mother was like, yeah, my shoulder hurts, but it's menopause. Go ahead. Should we look at it? Well, yeah, we can, but it's menopause, so I don't know what you're going to do. I'm like, see, that's what happens with those, right? So they suck you into such a convincing argument in front of these screens. It's wild. Okay. So biggest thing tonight we're going to really talk about is how strong our feet are. Okay. Because I have one exercise that I'm so pumped about. And one reason I picked this. All right. So we understand that. So let's look at the side effects on your medications. How do you know? Let's make sure that all those are looking good. Is there any place that it could cause some kind of foot issue in the toxicity realm? Okay. Kidney function. Kidney functions where we try to get or we mess with and deal with a lot of the uric acid issues, right? Dehydration is a huge one, but it concentrates that uric acid and can become a major issue. Beer does that, right? So then beer causes you to have dehydration, which then leads to the uric acid getting more concentrating. And then when you start messing with it, it gets really angry at you. Okay. So here's a cool one. And it's kind of cool. It was an old outline, but it's still kind of the same flow. Now I'm getting better at the outline. So I apologize tonight. I'm like scattered a little bit. Okay. So possible mental cause, right? The fear of the future and of not stepping forward in life. Okay. So what we're going to do is have a new thought pattern. Oh my God. I have a new book. Hopefully Jess is still on. Got a new book for this. I'm like blown away. I think I found this book was written in the 1920s. It's a 2-hour audiobook. Holy crap. It's so good. So simple. But anyway, so if you've not been with us before, we always look at there's 3 things: thoughts, toxins, trauma, all the time. If a foot condition is currently there, we look at, what medically would be there, sick care model, right? So we're looking at the foot itself. And then you say, okay, let's say I'm not getting where I want to go. Now that I'm looking at this, is there more to it? So then we look at our toxicities, right? So we want to make sure all of our toxicities are good. And then you have to still look at the thoughts. We are run 98% of the time by our subconscious programming. Each and every day, our bodies run, maybe if you're really concentrating hard, 10% of the day is consciously driven. Okay. The rest of it is subconscious. And so when you have subconscious thought patterns that do not do you any good, that can lead to physical manifestations of things that occur to you. Okay. It's not a joke. It's all real, right? And that's That's the hardest part, is like understanding that that is a very, very real part of major, major conditions. And it's probably the hardest conversations I ever have, because people think, oh, it's in my head. It's not about that. The subconscious program is not you, it's the subconscious program. It's just this thing that's running in the background and you had no idea. So that is what this slide is about. So if somebody's suffering with foot pain, the affirmation I want you to really look at: I move forward in life with joy and with ease. I don't care what causes it. But that is a great affirmation, right? But you have to believe it. You have to really, really believe it. Like the book that I'm reading right now, one of the problems is we kind of force an affirmation onto really believing, but you don't really believe it. There's a subconscious program that literally says, I don't believe this. So what the people that affirmations help, I'm just going to tell you right now, there are people that they absolutely dive in. They're 100%. I am that way, and they've worked out in enormous ways in my life. And I would say, if foot things are your thing, if you got a foot problem currently, I would try it. But use this affirmation like you really, really mean it. I'm going to move forward in life with joy and with ease. Your foot is going to hurt, okay, in that moment as this is happening. And I'm telling you, I'm moving forward in life with joy and with ease. I'm moving forward. If this isn't the reason, at least, why your plantar fascia is happening all the time, then it helps us get to the next level. Okay. So there's always a big thing. Okay. So, oh yeah. So now we'll do this real quick so that we can get to the cool stuff in my videos. Oh, Brian. Yes, sir. Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah, you'll love this. So, and what the video, or the seminar we went to this weekend just blew my mind anyway. So, on a lot of this foot stuff. So what can we do? Chiropractic. So my first suggestion is get your spine checked, get your feet, get your knees, all of it. Get it all evaluated. Even if it's not there, at least we know where we're starting. There's a soft tissue that you can do. This thing called gua sha. Gua sha is a more intense, kind of deeper tissue type massage. Now, when I bring this up, it really, really does work. The problem is, most of the time, people are like thinking, oh, I'm going to gua sha the area that I'm actually in pain at. That's really not exactly true, because yes, there might be some, washing it. I don't know. So you're working that area. Yes, that is true. And it'll be super painful and it feels glorious afterwards because of the rehealing. So gua sha is essentially, there's scar tissue built up in that tendon. So that tendon we need to reheal that scar tissue. Now, does it make sense if the mechanics of your foot are still off? No. That's why you have to have the I think, me personally, I suggest getting chiropractic adjusted in the foot, knee, hip, all of those things. And then when you get the gua sha in there, it can reheal that scar tissue. It's kind of an intense therapy, but it's done wonders. Cold laser. So cold laser is the one I wanted to talk to you about tonight. The studies are crazy. That's one of the things we were at the seminar, the laser, how God works, I swear. Okay. So I was looking at, so we get like several speakers and several lineups. And so as it's going, for some reason I'm reading them and I'm like, they were all good, but I just didn't know which one to pick, because a lot of them were kind of doing brain health and brain health and some good chronic pain kind of things. So I chose the one that was it's kind of the chronic pain pathways, people that suffer with chronic pain. And what it led to was a training on the laser we actually have, but they never advertised that it was the laser one. So I was like, oh my God, we have all this stuff. So as excited, I was super pumped because like they were showing us various ways to actually get to the root of the problem in plantar fascia. Cold laser, if you didn't know, they call it low level laser. Okay. Low level laser is an intensity. They throw a light frequency into the tissue area that's affected. It increases and gives energy to mitochondria in that area. It creates cells to kind of activate around that area. It's a little different than some other things. There's lasers that they call cold lasers, and we have one of those too. That's a lot more intense. So that one throws a deep internal heat because of the frequency it has. It throws a much deeper heat into the tissue itself. Both have the ability to allow the body to heal itself. So the reason we have lasers is because if innate intelligence within us needs those things, right? And so what I always say, we only heal from the inside out. So to find something that stimulates the body from the inside out is really hard, right? And so you're like, okay, what does that mean? So if I'm taking a pill, you're healing from the outside in, right? So I have to take something outside in. Now, saying that, let's say we go into herbals. You're not trying to heal something from the outside in. You're giving the body what it needs to energetically work, right? Do its own, support the body in its movement. The reason I fell in love with laser is because it does that. It tells the body, hey, I know you are smarter than me. And I know that your innate intelligence of the body is going to take this foot and we're gonna heal it up. Now, the way we're gonna do that is I'm going to give you as much healing energy as I possibly can. And that's where the cold laser comes in. So I cannot tell you how excited I was to learn about this stuff, like as it's going, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait for Monday. So if you got certain people in my chat that's been hurting like that, I want to know so that what we can go over, because we will use some people as experiments. That's how we do it in the old chiropractic world. Okay. So now we're going to talk about new shoes, right? So new shoes, very common. If you've had if you had chronic foot pain at all, you've probably done that one. I'm guessing a few times. Chronic, I remember foot, you're like, man, this shoe sucks. So I'll get a new one. And that one sucks too. So it happens a lot because they want to say, no, this $700 shoe will get it done. I found out there's a company like doing these arch support things. Oh my God. Okay. So holy crap. It was like $3,000 for these arch support things. And don't get me wrong, they might be amazing. Honestly, I don't know, right? But knowing what you know tonight, if I just throw an arch support in there, what happens? It could be good for a little bit. How's your toxicity? What if your sugar's off? What if your low back vertebrae is messed up? What if the mechanics of your foot aren't working right? Yeah, there's a lot there. So putting the arch in there, it could be good. $3,000 gets you really far in holistic world. Just letting you know. Just that would, $3,000 gets you a lot of services. So remember that. You can get a lot of lasers for that same thing. Okay. So strengthening your feet is going to be what we're talking about today. Jumping jacks, jump rope, and barefoot. My huge ones tonight. So, gosh, it's already 10 minutes. Okay, sorry. Eat clean. You know what to do. in the eat clean aspect, and then get rid of the pro-inflammatory foods right now. So we have to do that. We have to eat clean. As long as your feet are hurting, eat clean. And then we can get back to something so that takes that variable away. So get rid of pro-inflammatory foods, refined flour, refined sugar, seed oils, soy, canola, all those things. Oh, this is the other thing. Quit stretching it. Oh my God. Okay. So in our sick care model, what is the best way? No pain, no gain. So if I had a sprained wrist and I sprained my wrist by falling, let's see. I fall this way. Do you think that the best move for me to do is to stretch even further in that direction? Would I still want to stretch in that direction? There is a time and a place for that, but why is that the only thing we do? So I would probably rest it if I sprained my wrist really bad. But what do we do in certain situations? No, we beat on it more. we piss it off way more. Just start hammering that thing. I've had bad stories on this. I've had terrible stories on this. I've had a plantar fascia that was so chronic because the sick care model was treating this person like 3 times a week, beating the bejesus out of the area for like 3 times a week. Not improving. Finally, they were like, all right, we're going to step it up. And they used they used a tool that's even more violent. It breaks scar tissue. I won't bring it up, but it breaks scar tissue with sound waves, right? So it goes in and it breaks up the scar tissue. Well, this thing, we think it like met its match and it was over. And it was like surgery after that for this poor plantar fascia person. And surgery on this is no good. And in fact, you're just laid up completely on that one. But it's one of those things. Quit trying to stretch. You're not going to stretch your way out. You're not going to stretch your way out most of the time. If you don't do any of the other stuff, right? So we have to look at all of it. Take the time to look at all of it. Okay. All right. Oh, let me finish this part and then we can go into the videos real quick because I got just a couple videos. It's not bad. So what are we going to do? Because we're going to move forward in life with joy and with ease, because that is who we are as 1% Tribe. We understand. I don't care what the thing said. We're going to move forward in life with joy and in ease. We're going to visualize walking pain-free. So we're going to have these great times in our life, whether it's a 1 minute, 2 minute video of just smiling and walking. Here's a good one I heard this weekend. Today, right now. Tell me right now, if you have foot pain currently, in your mind, you can close your eyes if you want. Close your eyes and say, when was the last time my foot didn't hurt? Remember that trip. Remember that trip. When was the last time I ran in my yard? When is the last time the feet did not hurt, so that you're not going into this overwhelming? It was so profound when this guy said that. Like he was working on a guy that was in the laser room and he was working on somebody. I'm like, oh my God, that's an easy visualization. I keep saying go to a beach. Well, one of us, we got to go to work tomorrow, right? So that doesn't feel as realistic. But what about the last time you ran a marathon? How fun was that? I think of the joys of Casey's on there, but the joys of these adventure races. Rachel and I are starting to get ready for another one, probably in September, I hope. But when Casey and I, my brother did, is we went on this race, and this is when my foot first started hurting. When I was able to do it again, though, I think it was with Rachel, it was like one of the best, most awesome experiences of my life. We were slow. We weren't any good, but I could do it. And that was the biggest thing. Yes, Brian. So true. A wide toe box. A lot of times fitting your foot actually correctly in the foot, which is the toughest thing because we don't have shoe cobblers anymore. We should literally get custom shoes made and all kinds of stuff too. And then vitamin D3 is a big one that they're talking about with feet and everything else. But I would suggest making sure we get like blood work done, right? So blood work done and find our deficiencies because your feet will be one of the major places to look for that. Okay. Sweet. All right. So let's get out of this. And then let's go to the good stuff. Share. This is the one. 5 minutes. 5 minutes a day. Ready?
Side sleeper snorers are switching to this instant snoring fix.
Most snoring advice focuses on sleeping on the
create strong and powerful legs and have you feeling younger than you actually are.
All right. This is me. Just kidding. I'm not built like this guy, but watch this.
Its effect on your body. There's a study that shows jump rope is just as good at improving cardiovascular fitness as running. I am not here to argue that jump rope is any better than running, but there are some unique benefits to jump rope. Number one, you can plainly see on the screen right now. I can't go jogging down the street, leaving my boys here to fend for themselves, but I can get 5 to 10 minutes of jump rope in while they play on their scooters around me. It can be the non-runner or parent's weapon to getting into incredible shape in the comfort of your backyard. Now, I assume that jumping rope originated with boxing, but that was only when it was popularized in America. Jump rope started as a fun game for kids way back in ancient Egypt, China, and Greece and Rome. It was brought to America by the Dutch and eventually turned into an exercise that athletes, especially boxers, still utilize today. Why? Well, it comes down to one quality: rhythm. Boxers have found that the rhythmic, quick feet required to jump rope translates great to their sport. This is a lost quality in modern day fitness. Many people sit on machines, lay on benches, losing that rhythmic quality that most of us had when we were younger. Here's a few things you probably didn't know about rhythm. Number one is that our brains crave it. It's why we love music. It's why dancers are the most embodied athletes. Rhythmic movement increases coordination, triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, and even increases heart rate variability. Rhythm combined with bouncing on your feet strengthens the vestibular system. This improves.
All right. So I wanted to show you that up till there because one of the biggest things is jump rope. Okay. Jump rope, probably one of the single best neurological things I've seen in a long, long time. Everybody can do it. You start out very slow. You do 5 minutes of jump roping. And like he said, you can do it anywhere. You can do it out in your yard, all these things. But look at what happens. You stand on your toes and you're trying to jump. Now, as you get better at it, your foot has to engage. And so for me, jump roping and barefoot running, okay? So barefoot, like walking, running, all those kind of things. Those are amazing tools for the after time after this foot pain kind of dissipates. Now, with plantar fascia, sometimes I will make a person try jump rope. It's my one test. Like once you start feeling better, because a lot of times the foot pain, you got to get that thing rested because it doesn't get that, kind of situation. We have to be nicer to it. Now, I wanted to show you that one as the jump rope. Now, I'm going to give you one other one that I really, really found super helpful. Okay. Because yes, red light is amazing. The cold laser takes it up. It's like we just found out it's red light helps. It's not as advertised necessarily. That's what we learned, unfortunately, this weekend. Rachel's got a sweet red light thing over here. But we didn't realize like it does help though. And so it can be one of those really, really good things. A sauna though, Jess, too. Think about that as well. Baths, that's another one. But here's one I want everyone to try. This is really, really hard. And I'll leave you tonight with that. So if I pretend my hand is, okay. So pretend my hand is my foot. Okay. So except for my thumb. So we'll pretend this is your big toe. What I want you to do is take your big toe right now on the ground in your carpet or floor, and I want you to make an A. And then I want you to make a B with your big toe. Okay. So you're just sitting. I don't want you to stand doing any of this. I want you to visualize doing the letters of the alphabet. Okay. So as you're doing the letters of the alphabet, A through Z, I want you to constantly do those things. And then I want you to see what you can do with the next few toes. Okay. I don't even know if I can do. So you're going to try to do the same idea with each individual toe. Now, you're not going to be able to do it. It's not great. But what it's doing, it's firing all of it. So you're firing from your brain all the way to those little toes, and you're engaging those toes. Why is that important? Because you can start feeling the neurology. You're helping get that neurology kind of flowing in that direction. The problem we have is we just kind of forget about that area, and we don't test it a lot, right? I was watching this. Oh my God. So Rachel had this, so for my birthday, I got a new grill and we love it. And like, anytime you get a chance, we just grill out, which is most people, right? So Rachel made a bunch. She was prepping tonight, which is always rough because like I'm trying to do a little fast action. So everything she made smelled delightful. That's why I grabbed some hibiscus, because hibiscus is kind of causes that diet satiation, or it kind of chills your gut down. But so we're out there and it's hilarious, like watching the jumping capabilities of an animal. So we have this barn cat that it's the craziest barn cat ever. Like, so we used to have an old barn cat, and he was like 15 years old, and he ended up passing away this year. And he's been with us for a long, long time. And then now we have this new black cat that we don't know what the hell he gets into. But he was this big, fluffy cat. Next thing you know, we won't see him for 3 days, and then like hair's gone. And he just He's wandering down to the country roads, right? But I think he's found our house is one of the places he'd like to be. But so I'm grilling out, and I look over, and this little crap jumps like off the ground, like instant, like a standing jump, just jumps. How do you jump? Comparative of that body, that was like a 6 feet jump. I have a box jump situation where the tallest you can get is like 32 inches, I think 32 inches. And it takes me forever to get up just to this 32. But in retrospect, that would be like jumping a floor. That would be like jumping like 8 feet in the air, And so one of the things I really believe is our springiness, and we have gone to just compression. And so we need to really, really kind of work on that piece where, some people have this really strong foot, but not in great ways mechanically, right? So we have to look at a lot of those different things. So I'll give you one more because I really want to show you the mechanics of the foot as far as walking. So right now, jump rope. Spell the alphabet with each individual's toe. Start with the big toe. You'll get stressed out and you won't want to do it after this big toe, but do both feet. Neurologically, you want to do that. I don't care if it's just on one. Okay. So I want to show you what normal foot mechanics look like, because this is the other real big trick. All right. Let me get you to. Oh, here it goes. This is the one I wanted to show. Because these other ones.
We built a $49 garden hose nozzle that makes every pressure washer on the market.
Okay.
Show you how to stay off of your toes. Frequently, I'm asked if we walk on our toes, and that is incorrect. We are landing on the forefoot. See, the foot is anatomically divided between the heel, and everything else is considered the forefoot. There is no contact between the midfoot and the ground other than through the intermediary of skin and muscles. I know you're used to seeing people walk with their heel landing, which is brutal, hence why there is so much padding on conventional shoes. And it is even worse when you decide to wear barefoot or minimalist shoes. Now, the great thing about minimal shoes is that it allows for great flexibility. But because of the minimal padding, you cannot land on your heel as you normally would with conventional shoes. But that's a good thing because it brings us back to nature.
Right. So one of the things that happens with people that wear minimalist shoes is that they never learned how to walk in the first place. So they go to those old habits and it can actually cause major issues prior to. So what he's talking about is very true.
We should naturally conduct our movement. Now, I've brought out a prop so I can explain where to land. Because when people think of landing on their forefoot, they immediately think about their toes, and we're walking, and a lot of people will say that they're bouncing, and that's incorrect. What we're doing is we are focusing on a specific part of the foot, and I'm going to show you how to identify that. So I'm going to stand on this elevated surface, this yoga block, and I'm just going to, in a lax manner, hold the other leg out. And already you can see I relax because I'm not holding it up. I'm not pressing it down into the ground. As I relax, it takes form. And the form that it takes has the lateral edge closest to the ground.
Yeah, you see that? So you're kind of already got this little curve to it. Let me get to, for fear of, okay, here we go. So we're going to skip a little bit of him.
The impact, splaying as a suspension. Say that. Well, if you notice from the top part of the foot, as I land,
Let me get
just to prove that I'm not forcing the position, I'm going to lay prone and show you.
Sorry, I lost my spot on this. Where does he show? Oh, here we go. Okay.
Point in time, as soon as we relax, the lateral edge, the outside edge, falls lower than any other part of the foot, lower than the ball of the foot, lower than the heel. So I'm going to stand again, showing, and then I'll show you from the sides, and then I'll show you from the back. And no matter where you position it, the foot still lands.
Now, he doesn't have a great arch either. So a lot of his is very, very flat. But his feet are so strong, he can adapt through that. I was hoping. Oh, here we go. I just want to show you the last piece just so that.
The lateral edge. So this is naturally how the body lands. When it's in its relaxed state, it gives you the clues as to how to land. So what I'd like you to do at home is find an elevated surface.
Okay. So the best way to think about this, heel of the foot into your side of your foot, and then you just toe off, right? So heel of the foot kind of to the side, right? So here, just a little bit of the heel off to the side, and then that toe goes right off, right? And so it's one of those things that training that will be really, really good. But yeah, so hopefully a lot of that helped. I went way over my time. I apologize, but that was really fun. Thank you guys for sticking around. If don't forget, tribe1.substack.com, the prize inside on Rumble. A Chiropractor's Journey, the Prize Inside, A Chiropractor's Journey on YouTube. So with that said, you guys enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you Wednesday for Whole Health Weekly at 8:30. And that is it, folks. Have a great night.